the second, technically, episode of Triple D Sports Talk. We are reviving this podcast. I'm here with Daniel Wolfel, my co-host. I'm doing police, and our third host, Daniel Kershaw, could not make it tonight, but he will be a part of the show for the later episodes. So, Wolfel, how have you been, man? How have you been?
I'm just ecstatic to get this podcast going again. It's been a while since we've done this, and we plan on doing this on a consistent basis. So, yeah, let's kick it off with the Phillies. Big win tonight in Miami. First game of the series. They win 9-1. Arrieta on the mound. Pitched
Yeah,
pretty well
it,
up
he
until the
he
sixth
needed
inning.
he needed that little kickstart after the last few games. He hasn't been exactly his best. He's been on the decline since I feel like since they signed him last year, and getting a little beating in
Got
on the
bad
on the
elbows.
Marlins is a nice thing. So I
Right, well,
I heard I was listening to WIP and they said the NL East is going to come down to who beats the Marlins the most this season.
I mean, I hope we wouldn't have a problem with that. With all the upgrades we got this off season, Segura, McCutcheon, Harper,
Yeah, the
and
upgrades
even
are
even guys in the
absolutely
bullpen like
insane.
David Robertson, they really haven't produced much. But Alvarez, I think Alvarez, is it Jose Alvarez? Yeah, he didn't really have a good showing the other night. I was actually at the game. Phillies had the lead 6-1, and he came in. He didn't really get the job done. They blew it in extra innings.
Yeah, and then we don't have to talk about the 15-1 loss on Wednesday. That was rough to
Oh,
watch.
jeez.
After the first few innings, I kind of turned that off. But yeah, in the offseason, signing Bryce Harper, obviously the blockbuster deal of the offseason for the entire MLB, not just in Philadelphia. I'd say even in all of Philadelphia sports, it was probably the biggest move of the year. If I have to say, I mean, I can't think much of that's happened in 2019 in these few 4 months, but I think absolutely the biggest move that for Philadelphia sports and in the MLB. I mean, we have the face of baseball uh, on
It's
our
finally fun
team.
to watch again.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I've been away from baseball for a few years now, and I mean, they really brought me back, and I'm having a blast watching, and even just talking about it with my friends and all.
Heard a couple rumors today. The Phils are looking for another starting pitcher, and one of the names that were brought up was Madison Bumgarner from San Francisco. That would be a huge piece to add on
Yeah,
to the rotation.
getting the left hand ace would be nice to get in there. Um, the reports I heard though, I listened to the actual report. It was just I think it was a little segment on Sports Center. He didn't seem like the Phillies were. He said they were doing their due diligence. So I take that
Mm-hmm.
as watching him in spring training, watching him in the season, and just keeping up with him. Uh, he had I don't know if you knew that he had a motorcycle accident, and ever since that, I think
Really?
it was last year or something. Ever since that, he hasn't thrown the
Okay.
same. He was throwing upper 90s, and now he's like mid 90s or something like that. But so I don't know if they can get him at a decent price, but yeah, either way, I think he would be an amazing upgrade. We would need that, but I think we really need to focus on the closer because we don't have a set closer now. I mean,
I
we go to
absolutely agree.
Nishak, we go to Dominguez or Anthony Dominguez, and I don't know who else is in there, but we don't have.
Well, they just brought up Arano from AAA. He
Yeah,
actually closed it out tonight
I
and did a
did
pretty
see
good
that.
job.
I did see that. Yeah, there's but yeah, again, there's no set in stone closer. Gabe Kapler has refused to say that so and so is the closer for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Kimbrel's a phone call away, but that 6 year or however many years he wants, that long term deal is just keeping the Phillies front office away from him.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd like to talk about Zach Eflin and the amazing game he's had, amazing season that he's had so far. He's made a big step. He was the first, I guess you could say, the first step of Phillies rebuilding back in whenever they traded Jimmy Rollins.
yep.
We got Zach Eflin in return, so it's nice to see that he is taking big strides and is a part of this contending team now.
Eflin, yeah, he had a big first half of the year, and then he kind of declined the second half. Hopefully, this year he can stay consistent and just keep being hot. What's he off to? A 2-0 start?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and I mean, he's done everything right from what I've seen.
Yeah, he's an important piece of the Phillies. No longer rebuilding process, but
Absolute
they still
contenders.
need another ace. I feel like.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, I think
Ace and bullpen, and we will be like completely set. I mean, not even we don't have to spend
absolutely.
like buku bucks. If we just get some depth in there, we'll be sitting pretty and be raising the pennant sooner rather than later.
To completely honest, besides the whole closer situation, I think the whole bullpen situation is just completely overblown. I think that we do have the relievers. I think Nishek's a solid.
He's getting up in the age though. Did we lose Wiffle? I think we might have lost Wiffle. We lost Wiffle, but I'll get him back in here. But as I was saying, Nishak is getting up in the age. He's only got a few good years left in him. Dominguez is a young guy, been doing great. Um, what I really want to see personally is Scott Kingery to be taking his strides um, back at either shortstop or even third base. Either one would be great for our team just to get a little bit more depth. Like I said, he's a young kid. He's supposed to be our top prospect, and we're back, Wiffle.
Yeah. My controller disconnected. I disconnected from the party. Just I don't know what happened.
We're good. I was talking about. I brought up Scott Kingery and how I'm excited to see him start making some strides and become a major leaguer. People were saying that they'd rather see him down in like AAA, taking more at bats, seeing more balls. But I think where he's at right now is a good spot where he can learn from the big guys.
Absolutely. I think he's ready to go. I think shortstop belongs to him, or excuse me, second base belongs to him. I think uh, towards the trade deadline, we're probably going to see Cesar Hernandez in a different uniform. I think he'd be a great trade piece for another pitcher, a closer, an ace, whether uh, or not it's one of those two. I think Cesar will be a good trade piece, and I think second base will belong to Kingery by the end of the trade deadline.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. So another thing, I was listening to the pregame on WIP, um, and I think it was actually Zach Eflin that they were interviewing before the game. He said, and it really stood out to me because of the teams that I've personally been on and how close knit they were. And he said that this team is the closest band of brothers that he's had in a very long time, and they're all genuinely friends and
Wow.
like go out and do things together on their off days. And I think that is the biggest piece of a franchise that is overlooked by a
Absolutely,
lot of
that's
guys.
incredible to hear. Just because there's such a brand new team, you got new guys coming in from everywhere.
Yeah,
Harper,
Harper's been here
Segura,
for not even a month, and
McCutcheon,
he's
the
and he's
bullpen
got
guys, Robertson. Right.
Harper's been there not even a month, and he's got handshakes with every single person on that lineup. I mean, it's just great to see because I know personally that the brotherhood and like being an actual fan, like genuinely loving the guy that's next to you is is a big thing in sports. It's definitely
Chemi-
overlooked by the
I was
spectators
just gonna say,
because they're not.
baseball chemistry is completely overlooked, but it's so vital
It really is
because I
there.
mean you're with those guys for over 162 games. It's so important to have a connection, a bond.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
right now, Phillies look like they don't have a problem being friends. I mean, when you see Harper hitting a home run, doing those crazy handshakes with Hoskins, Segura, all those guys, it's great to see.
You got them. You got it's nice to see. It is that's exactly right. It's nice to see. It's great to see baseball back in Philly, and like
Right.
the whole city, everybody around it. I mean, if you live in South Jersey or around the greater Philadelphia area, you know that is the trending topic, I would say, and a little bit a sport that has been overlooked because of the Phillies and might have saved Brent Brown his job is definitely the 76ers. The 76ers have been downhill ever since I stopped watching after the Bryce Harper signing because I ended up going all in to Phillies. But the
Right.
Sixers,
Yep.
they have been on a downhill slope ever since I feel like the Bryce Harper signing. Um, Embiid has been a no show. He hasn't he's I think he played the most he's played in a season is like 62 games. He's supposed to be the face of our franchise, and the man can't play 82 games. He's not. I don't think he's playing tomorrow against the Nets in our first playoff game.
Yep. I saw a report he's doubtful with knee tendonitis.
Yeah, I mean, you you gotta expect more from the face of your franchise. I mean, it's just pitiful, honestly, because they could be so much if they just played and they were coached better.
Absolutely.
But
The six. This is the best they're going to be in a while because I mean it's not like they're. I don't think they can sign all of these guys. You know, Harris is a UFA by the end of the year. Butler's a UFA by the end of the year. They got to re-sign Simmons. Redick's gone, and
yeah, it's gonna
I
be
don't know what
tough.
they're going to do.
It's gonna be real tough because the window is definitely closing. Joel Embiid is not gonna last very long in this league. We probably have a good 3 4 years left of him. I mean, look at his first 3 years of his career. He didn't play the first two, and the third year I think he played like 30 games. Y- you just like when's the last time you saw a LeBron, a Kobe, uh, uh,
Absolutely.
like any of those great guys that lead their Dwayne Wade, the Dirk Nowitzki, any of those guys that led their teams to NBA finals and NBA championships, like when they've missed more than even 10 games. I mean, I don't think Dirk missed more than I'll look it up. He might have missed an average of like one game a year. I'd be surprised if it was more than that. I'll look it up right
Um.
now.
Simmons, he just needs to learn to take a jump shot. He doesn't know how to take a jump shot, and that's I think is a crucial part on why the Sixers don't win some of these games. I mean,
It's
if your point
exactly
guard can't
because
take a jump shot, that is just absolutely it's pitiful.
yeah, and
Um,
just
I
real
love Ben
quick,
to death, and he can do everything, but I mean, shoot the ball. I mean, he's obviously need to work in the off season and learn how to shoot because I want to see Ben Simmons shoot threes.
yeah,
If he
but
can do that, I mean, he could be he could be a top 5 point guard in the NBA. I think.
yeah, I don't think that'll happen. But just to finish that note with Dirk, in 20 years he played he was available for 1,522 games, and he started in 1,460 games. So he missed less than
Well,
100 games in 20 years. Um,
that is.
and I think Joel Embiid has missed over 200 games in 4 years. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, going back to Simmons, I mean he needs to get a jump shot because these guards they don't need to guard him. When he's on the 3 point line, they don't got to worry about him pulling up to shoot a three. That's
Right.
not gonna happen. They're gonna sit back. They'll end up double teaming in Joel, which ends up getting him more more physical in the paint and lessens his body. And it's just it's you need a conventional point guard at this point in the league.
Well,
The league is a three pointing.
well, yeah. Well, that's why they brought in Harris at the deadline because I mean they're trying to spread the court and they know Simmons can't do that. So they had to balance it out with a point forward or a power forward who can shoot threes from the arc.
Yeah, and they also brought Tobias and Bobby in because they were older guys. They're kind of vets. They have that experience in the off season, um, and uh, and they're supposed to help out those young guys and see how they're going.
Right. I mean their bench really hasn't done a good job for the Sixers. Elton Brand really didn't impress me when he brought in some of these guys. Jonathan Simmons. I'm thinking of the other guy. We got from Houston. He's
Uh,
a guard.
from Houston.
He's from Houston. Yeah, he's a guard, and he hasn't really impressed much. The guy I really do like is Mike Scott. I mean, he's just a
Mike
fun
Scott
player to
is
watch.
a grinder,
He's got
man.
a fun personality. You can tell he's
Yeah,
great. He's got great chemistry
he's definitely a Philadelphia
going with those
guy.
guys.
He's mixing in very well.
Right.
Um,
The only thing I don't like is when he's wearing those Penguins uniforms.
yeah. Well,
Pregame.
that was actually that was the Scranton Penguins. If you look
Right.
closely,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
zoomed in.
Yep.
It was the Scranton Penguins, but I think that's still an affiliate with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, but we'll let it slide just because it's an office reference.
Yeah. Right.
Uh, so I know you wanted to get into the NHL, and let's talk a little bit of Flyers, and then we'll get into the playoffs and how that's been going.
Right. The question about the Flyers is who's going to be their head coach because right now Scott Gordon is the current head coach. He was hired right after the firing of Dave Haxel. He became the interim head coach. The Flyers actually did a pretty good job with him. They finished positive, but there was still a lot of things not going right, and things just weren't clicking.
They had a
A
lot of
couple.
really fun games at the end of the year. I know
Oh yeah.
the Pittsburgh game we were watching together. That was probably the most fun I've had watching a hockey game
Oh yeah.
in a very long time. That and the Winter Classic. The Winter Classic was another great game with Pittsburgh.
The state. Actually, I had a friend who went there at the Stadium Series. He said it was the best experience of his life. I mean, just imagine sitting out there watching a hockey game in a football stadium, and your captain Claude Giroux scores a goal in overtime. Doesn't and Crosby was on the ice too. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it really does not.
But
Um,
But going back to the head coach vacancy, a lot of key names went off the board for the Flyers, including Joel Quenneville. Flyers fans were trying to, I guess, convince their front office to get him in any way, shape, or form. You saw it all sorts of social media. But Quenneville ultimately signed with the Florida Panthers, so that's a big name off the board. A couple guys who the Flyers can sign include Todd McClellan. I think he currently just got fired from Edmonton, but the Flyers are really invested into Todd McClellan. He actually had a successful tenure with the San Jose Sharks a couple years ago. But in the end, it didn't work out. So the Oilers signed him, and then I think he just got let go. So, moving on. A lot of people are questioning, should Claude Giroux be the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers?
yeah, I mean, it's another one of those like 2011 Phils, those kind of situation. I mean, it's hard to let go of those guys. They've done so much for
Right.
you. Obviously, he hasn't gotten a cup for us, but it's been an absolute hell of a career, and I definitely think it's time to just call it quits, get some value while you can. I mean, I love to see players play out their full career in one
Right.
one
In fact,
city.
he's actually the longest tenured professional Philadelphia sports player.
Really, I did not know that. You're enlightening me on that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, as much as I love to see guys finish their careers out in one city, you got to think about the team, and you need to get value while you can. Because what
Absolutely.
Claude Giroux is not as good as he is. He's not helping this team. We're not going to go to the Stanley Cup with this team.
He's only getting older.
Exactly.
So
The clock is ticking.
I think they should. Even if they don't move on from him, I think they should put the C on Sean Couturier's jersey. He deserves to be the captain for a plethora of reasons. This guy, I'm telling you, he is the best two-way forward I think I've ever seen in my whole life. He actually was a front runner for the Selke Award. He didn't end up winning it, but he was a finalist. This guy if you watch every Flyers game, this guy on a daily basis gives it his 110%, and those kind of guys epitomize what it is to be a Philadelphia Flyer. Giroux, you can just tell he's lost a step. He doesn't hit. he just doesn't have that drive anymore. He's 31 years old. He's only getting older. Give it to the younger guy. Give it to Sean Couturier. He's only 26. I think he'd be a great leader for this Philadelphia Flyers team.
Yeah, man, I hear you on that one. The Flyers definitely they're in a rough patch, and I think it's safe to say they're at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Philly sports and the major sports. Um, but let's move on. Let's talk about NHL playoffs. I know you want to talk about the Lightning. They are off to a poor start, to say the least, for the number one seed.
Absolutely pitiful. They lost a 3-0 lead to Columbus in Game 1. 10 minutes left. There's 10 minutes left in the game. Columbus scores 4 goals in regulation, and that put an early dagger in the Lightning's heart. Game 2 tonight happened an hour ago. They just lost 5-1. So I think this is a psychological effect.
Kind of
on the Lightning.
brushing off the 8 seed,
Right.
not really playing their hardest. You see that
Right,
happen a
like-
lot with the number one seed.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I mean, anything can happen in the NHL playoffs. We know this.
Absolutely anything.
For instance, the 2010 Flyers, they were down 3-0 in the series. Game 7, they tie it up. Game 7, they're down 3-0. They come back and win regulation.
Yeah.
They go on to go to the Stanley Cup and lose, but I'm telling you, anything can happen in the NHL playoffs. We've seen it before.
Yeah, hockey is definitely one of those sports where there's no, other than this year with the Lightning, and even they're proving it wrong. There's really no
It's who wants
definite.
it more. That's what it's about. It's not about
exactly.
talent.
There's no definite winner that you can say, oh, they're going to win the Stanley Cup. They're going to go this many wins and this many losses. And absolutely anything can happen. It is a very fun league to watch and be a part of.
It's also very stressful.
Yes, as a Flyers fan, you can definitely say that. Between the late season runs and the mid season droughts, it's bad. Very stressful.
Let's take a look at some other games across the league.
I'm looking
West,
at the scores right now. The Blues are playing the Jets right now. It's the end of the first. They're tied at 1. And St. Louis is
the
ahead
Blues are gonna give the Jets
1-0 in the
all hell.
yeah. St. Louis, the Blues are ahead 1-0 in that series, and then you got the Golden Knights and the Sharks. They just scored 1 minute into the game. The Golden Knights scored 1-0 over the San Jose Sharks. Let me see who scored real quick.
Golden Knights, they're such a fun team to watch. If you never watched them, tune into them because they're so fun to watch. I mean, they've got their team it's not based off of one superstar or a couple superstars. It's just they're solid all the way around, and that's why they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
It's really
it's
crazy
it makes you
because
think there's got to be a blemish in the expansion draft. There's definitely flaws
exactly.
and loopholes that they need to clean up.
Yeah, an expansion team winning the cup the first their inaugural season. It's absolutely unheard of. To put a team together, to build that chemistry, to play an 82 game season, and then go on and win the whole damn thing. It's definitely something to be proud of.
I mean, it's embarrassing that for the Flyers that they've made it farther than them in their first year than the Flyers have made it anywhere in the past 9 years.
Yeah, and they've been together for 1 year. It really is insane.
I've noticed all the underdogs are winning. The Islanders just beat the Penguins tonight 3-1. I don't think anybody was expecting that. I think many people thought, besides Islanders fans, I think many people thought that Crosby and Malkin would be, back to playoff form. But, Pittsburgh looks pretty sluggish in these first 2 games. So, that's a series you should keep an eye out for.
Yeah, there's plenty of games that you can go and watch for the NHL playoffs. Like I said, it's a pretty even field.
Moving on to the NFL, the Eagles. Draft's coming up, Dylan.
Yes, the draft, man. April, 26th this year?
I believe so, yep.
The
Nashville.
Eagles have, I believe, the 25th or 22nd pick. Um, First round this year. I'll look it up to confirm. But yeah, Wolf, let's hear it. Let's hear what you're thinking. The Eagles are gonna go with their number one pick.
Uh, they're probably gonna base on. They're probably gonna base their draft pick off who's best available. Uh, they're probably gonna go with the D lineman. There's so many good D linemen in this draft. It's hard to pass up on one if there's one available. I think they'll probably go with Clemson D tackle Dexter Lawrence if he's there. I've seen him. Many NFL analysts have projected that he goes to Philly, and I think they're spot on because everyone in front of them is. It seems like they have a lock on what guy they want.
Yeah,
I mean, but they
all
could
the
go
mock
with
drafts.
there's still a possible chance they get a running back even after just acquiring Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, personally, I don't foresee them getting a going running back just because of the way they've drafted in the past. They've gone heavy on the bigger guys in the first round. So I believe that they will get probably either, like you said, a D end or even a no tackle just to fill in Jason Peters once he gets out of there. Um, yeah, and then honestly, if we go D tackle or D end, we will go probably one of the three Clemson D ends that, like you said, Dexter Lawrence, Kristen Wilkins there, Klein Farrell, and then you got FSU DN Brian Burns, Notre Dame
So much talent.
Jerry Tillery. I mean, there's that. Yeah, this is definitely a talented draft class, and we could go pretty much anywhere and be all right. I mean, our defense is definitely pretty old. It's getting up there. The average age on the defense is got to be in the high 20s. Um, we'll go to let's talk about the offseason acquisitions for the Eagles. So, like you said, we'll start it off with Jordan Howard. We only gave up a 2020 6th-round conditional pick.
I I think that was a great trade for the Eagles. I think the Bears were just looking to get anything they could out of him. I think a 5th round pick was probably the best they were going to get, and it was also. But at the same time, the Eagles gave up little to nothing with the 5th round pick. What was it? It was a 2020 pick, correct?
2020 6th conditional pick. I'm not sure what the
6th conditional.
yeah, I'm not
Okay.
sure what the conditions are on that pick, but yeah, I mean his contract is probably short with them only giving up a 6th-round pick. But
Right.
I'll look up the contract real quick.
This guy,
he's
Howard. In the past 3 years, he's been one of the top rushers. He's had over 3,000 yards. What in the past 3 years, right?
he's yeah, I believe so. He's locked up until 2020 for us, so we'll have him this year and next year.
Okay.
And then I'll look up the conditional pick. But yeah, like Jordan Howard's been absolutely amazing for the Bears. They
Yeah.
just drafted that one, or they got that the one young kid. What's his name? But
Tariq Cohen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he killed it last season. That's probably why they got rid of him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was ultimately holding up Jordan Howard's progress. Howard though, I did some research. He's not really much of a receiving back. He doesn't really completely fit the Eagles scheme, but they're gonna put him in for certain formations that he'll fit. Usually when they're gonna throw the ball, they're going to
We got
Sproles or Clement. So.
Yeah, we got plenty of backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. It says here that Howard, he set a franchise record for the Bears with 13. Let me put it up on the screen real quick. With it was 1,313 yards in 2016. He reached 2,000 yards in 24 games, which was faster than Walter Payton and Gale Sayers. Since
Wow.
entering the league, Howard has the 3rd most rushing yards of any running back in the league, 3,370, and the only 2 players that are ahead of him are Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley. So
that says a lot if you're gonna look at rushing yards.
Yeah, that'll definitely be
But
that'll definitely be a force to be reckoned with, to say the least, coming out of the Eagles' backfield. We'll finally have a run game that can be respected in comparison to the last few
Absolutely.
years that we've had.
Many teams talk about a 1-2 punch, but the Eagles got that 1-2-3-4 punch.
Yeah, it's kind of
Every
ridiculous.
single running back is
It's
going to
insane.
have a big role.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that this season. And I think, going back to the draft, I think if we have a great draft, I think there's no reason why we can't contend for another Super Bowl. Because if
We
you
were
look at the talent from
last
this
year
year and
1
the
year
talent
away,
from a
one
couple
play
years,
away.
right? Yep.
Literally one play away. Alshon catches that ball, we probably go on to the NFC Championship.
We win that game. We beat the Rams. And then
It's a dogfight
who
in
knows
the
what
Super
happens
Bowl.
with the Eagles versus
Exactly.
Patriots, right?
Yeah. So we'll stay on the offensive side of the ball. We made a couple re-signings on our O-line. We re-signed Jason Peters. We re-signed Isaac Sayamalu. It was, I mean, after I love the guy. I think he's a great depth O-line, but I mean for him that contract is scary, to be honest with you. It's 3 years,
3 years for
and
a depth guard
it was
for a fringe starter.
yeah,
Uh,
but I actually was looking at how Howard or Howie Roseman was kind of manipulating the cap. He was putting a bunch of this money past like say Malo, for example. He signed for 3 years, and in the third year, um, is actually void. The third year is it's like whatever 20 million
okay.
or whatever, and which frees up the cap space for the previous 2 years. But it says if Sayamalu is on the roster 2 days prior to the 2020 or whatever it is, whatever year the third year is, season, the contract is void. So there's no way that he will ever get the money for that third year or fourth year. I forget what it was, and it still frees up the cap for this year, which I think is very very interesting, very like intuitive for Howard to do, and I'm sure it wasn't
Yeah.
just him. He's probably got a team doing that too, but just that idea, it's gonna revolutionize how the NFL is moving forward, kind of just manipulating that cap space and getting the most out of it while you
Yeah.
can. But yeah, re-sign Peters, re-sign
Uh,
Sayamalu, and
Any word
another
on Brooks?
Brooks.
When's Brooks coming back?
I'm
I
not
mean, do you
sure to
think
be
he's
honest.
gonna play that first game?
No, I think that's probably why we signed Sayamalu, and again, also to back up
Yep.
Peters if we don't get one in the draft, just as a nice backup plan. Because
Insurance. Yep.
he's definitely a great player. He's just not a franchise offensive lineman, but he can definitely play. Um, but yeah, like you said, Brandon Brooks, I'm not really sure how he's doing. I'm sure he'll end up playing next year, but he might miss the first few games. But another addition to the Eagles, a nice kind of throwback addition. Deshaun Jackson is back playing for the
Wow.
Birds.
Yeah.
He took back number 10 from Matt Collins, respectfully so. And I'm real excited. I'm really really excited to see how it goes.
I think he's going to play to his full potential as a 33-year-old on this exact team. This is the team that he needs to be on if he wants to play to his full potential. Howie Roseman went out and got him. Props to him. I think that was completely necessary. We're right now we're in a win now mentality.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And it's obviously important to look to the future, but as of right now, we need to prioritize right now over next year, the year after. So that was, I think, a great move by Howie. He's a genius. I love him. He's probably my favorite general manager. Props to him.
Yeah, he's definitely Nelson Aguilar is what I think Deshaun Jackson is going to be replacing, kind of the guy that just takes the top off the defense, and it's it's gonna change the way the Eagles play and how defense respect them, because there's no longer going to be a safety coming up and blitzing, putting pressure on Wentz. He's gonna have more time. We're gonna see a lot of more big plays. I think we'll have Deshaun going up the top, Alshon coming across the middle, and then even Ertz coming across the middle too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
we got and then even if the pass isn't there, we hand it off to Jordan Howard. We got a real good offense this year. I'm real excited to see them play, and yeah. Any more thoughts on that, Wolf, on the offensive side of the ball?
Here's a question. Going back to the draft, if you could pick any player from this draft, who would you go with?
Any player?
Yeah. Say you have the first overall.
So
the Eagles have the first overall pick.
For the Eagles then, right?
Who are they taking? Yeah, for the Eagles. Yeah.
I'm going with Bosa. Not
Bosa?
even thinking about it. Absolutely Bosa, because the D line is very old. We need to get some youth in there.
Okay.
I mean, you got Brandon Graham. He's getting a little old there. He's and then you got Cox. He's also not very young anymore. The youngest guy is Barnett, and we got rid of Bennett.
He's an exterior guy. He's not an interior guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Bosa can play on the inside.
Yeah.
He can play on the outside. He can play anywhere on the D line.
Yeah, whatever
So, yeah, whatever
that mother is feeding her boys, she's doing something right. Because it's ridiculous. They're just breeding some absolute athletes wherever they are.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, moving on to defense then. We brought back another throwback kind of guy. It was Vinny Curry. We signed a 1-year deal for Vinny Curry, which again he's old, but
it's a great deal.
We get a nice depth D tackle, just to keep that rotation that we had going for the last few years, and the high-paced defense that we have. We got rid of Michael Bennett. He wanted a pay increase. He wanted a pay raise, but we gave it to Brandon Graham instead, and he was not very happy with that. So we sent him to New England. We got a couple picks for that. I'm not sure the exact trade, but he'll
Malik
do.
Jackson, baby.
Yeah, Malik Jackson is probably
he's gonna
the best,
so fun to watch
most least talked about signing, but definitely the most impactful, Malik Jackson.
Absolutely.
I mean, he made a killing down in Jacksonville, which, I mean, their defense was pretty good for a few years, but they had no offense, so there was no real spotlight on them.
He fits right. I think he fits right in Philly's wheelhouse.
Yeah,
this guy's got an upbeat personality. When he makes plays, he has those big celebrations, and I'm telling you, that will get the Philly fans all riled up. And he is just a perfect fit here. Once again, Howie Roseman with a great acquisition.
I love my house and my yard,
Props to
but
him.
you know what I hate?
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun year for Philly, man. We signed Andrew Sendejo. I think that's how you say his last name. The Vikings safety.
Yep.
The Vikings safety. He actually got hurt against us last year, and now he's playing for us. Yeah. He's another depth guy. We haven't really we haven't signed any big name guys other than obviously the acquisition of Jordan Howard. I guess you can call him big name, and I mean I wouldn't even consider Malik Jackson a big name. But they're guys that are gonna help us out in the long run and really get the job done and put us to that next level. Just adding the depth and getting the defense the reps off, keeping new guys, fresh legs coming in and coming out. It's gonna make a difference in those late games, especially in January and December. So, I mean, we have a real exciting year of football coming up for us.
Oh yeah. Eagles. They have the 25th easiest schedule, I think, this year.
Really, I did not know that.
Yep.
After coming
You'll
off,
never guess who has the hardest schedule this year.
What is it, like Miami or something?
Oakland. John Gruden
and Mike Mayock over there making the moves, bringing in AB. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about AB for a little bit.
They make all these big acquisitions, and then the NFL says, "Here you go. Here's the hardest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
Have fun."
It's interesting, but yeah. Talk about AB and a mental institution is where he belongs. Yeah, Juju.
Yeah.
I mean, Juju is. I watch him. I mean, if you see FaZe Clan, you see Danny Duncan, all those guys on YouTube. He hangs around with them, and he's a funny guy. Like he's genuine. He's living life. He's a kid making millions of dollars playing the ball and living the life. And I have not seen that kid do wrong once. I say kid. He's older than us, but he's a kid in the world.
Right.
I haven't seen him do wrong once. AB, the one post I saw, I actually quote tweeted because it annoyed me so much. He he screenshotted a Instagram DM of what Juju sent to him while he was in college, basically just like praising him and asking for some pointers on playing the game and just like thanking him for being an inspiration and stuff.
Completely immature move.
And he posted it like it's a bad thing, like, oh, look at this guy
Right.
kissing my ass and stuff like that. Like, it's just he's a college kid looking up to an NFL absolute all star, and you're putting him down because he's getting a little bit more reps than you while you're throwing tantrums on the sideline. It's just the wide receiver diva mentality, I think, has gone off the edge for the NFL. I love to
Oh
see the
yeah.
guys. I love to see them be involved, like be emotional and like get into it on the field and whatnot, and dance when they're end zone when they make a nice catch or make a touchdown. But
Yep.
I think you got to draw
But
the
not
line.
be toxic.
Yeah.
Right. You got to draw the line.
I
I mean,
what
that's
first
why
set it
it's
off
important
was
your
the
team doesn't have a toxic play. Oops, sorry.
no good.
That's why it's so important for your team not to have a toxic player, because one guy could absolutely poison the whole locker room.
Yeah,
And that's
just look at after AB left. There's guys coming out saying bashing Big Ben just because I mean they see AB do it. He's this all star, so they think, oh yeah, let me do that because I want to speak my truth. I want the media. I want my 15 minutes of fame while I'm
right.
the star of the team. It's just it's it all started, I feel like, with OBJ and the damn the what was it, the punting net or kicking net, whatever it was, him like
Yeah.
making a big deal out of
I
that.
think
That
yeah.
pissed me off for some reason. I just did not like it. But I think that really just pushed the first domino and led to these receivers thinking that they're just like better than the rest of the team, and it's not good for the team's chemistry.
It's just not. It's an unhealthy environment when a guy just tries to make himself, you know, think that he's better than everyone else, and especially on the young guys, because the young guys, they look up to these guys and they say, I mean, if Antonio Brown's gonna do that,
Yeah, you're looking at imagine what
when I
the
get my big
5-year-old
contract,
that's
I'm gonna be like that too.
even
Yeah.
even younger than that, like the Pee-wee kids that think, oh yeah, AB, OBJ, and
Right.
all
It's
these
just
guys,
they
they're
set a
throwing
horrible
fits. So
example.
let me do that too, because I'm not getting the ball enough. So that's the way I get the ball. That's how I get my fame. It's just it's not the right thing to do, and you got to think of more than just yourself in that situation. And again, just it goes back to putting the team ahead of you. It's the first thing you're taught. The first thing I was taught, I know, when in any sport, putting the team ahead of yourself. It's the better the team is, the better for you. So yeah, I just had to get that out. I love Juju. He's one of my favorite
Right.
players in the NFL right now, and AB has definitely fallen off that list for me.
It almost it makes you thankful that like if you're an Eagles fan, it makes you or any other fan besides the Steelers or Raiders, it makes you thankful that you don't have a guy like that. I mean, you may have a guy like that, but obviously, Brown has showcased himself the best as the cockiest and most egotistical guy in the NFL. So
Yeah, exactly.
it
And
makes you grateful to not have a guy like
there,
him.
when AB was going around looking for a new team, and guys in Philly were like, "Oh yeah, let's bring AB in, let's bring AB in." I I really did not want him in because of the fact that he was way too much of a diva for me. I could not deal with that.
Absolutely.
Um, so staying on the NFL, let's talk a little bit about the way too early. We'll call it power rankings. Um, I made a little list. It's top five, not in any particular order, but I'll go through it real quick. You can let me know what you think and if you change anything, Wolf. So just the first team I have written down, again, not in any particular order, just the top five teams that I think will perform next season. I have the Saints, even though they got rid of Ingram, they made a nice signing with Latavius Murray, brought him in. They still got that 1-2 punch with Alvin Kamara
Also got
and
Cook.
Cook, yes, and After 2 years straight of kind of BS losses in the playoffs, last year being the defensive interference call, and 2 years ago being the miracle in Minnesota. Uh, they're definitely gonna be coming into this season with a fire lit under them. They're gonna be coming for blood. I think this
Oh
season,
yeah,
and
especially with a 41-year-old Breeze at the helm.
yeah,
Is he 41?
you only got
40?
so many years left. You got Bridgewater actually elected to he was a unrestricted free agent this year, and he elected to sign back with the Saints to sit
Saints. Yeah,
underneath.
he almost went to Miami,
Yeah.
but he said, you know what, I'm staying here. I want to win a championship.
Yep.
Smart move.
Yeah. Um.
And I also don't want to get injured.
Yeah. Exactly. He doesn't want to sit behind Drew Brees and just watch the game and collect millions. That's a nice gig. But another team, obviously, hate to say it, even with the loss of Gronk, I put the Patriots in my top five. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
with Brady, you can't even argue at this point. The man just performs, no matter how old he is. I mean, if he's playing at 80 years old, I think I won't be surprised. They're definitely going to be another. Obviously, with a weak division, the Jets still. I think the Jets are coming up in that division. They'll give them a little bit of run for their money, but
I think the
definitely,
Jets could hit 500 this year.
yeah, definitely not a playoff team, but definitely they're gonna give the
Kind
Patriots
of
at
like
least a little bit
they're
of
gonna be like. I
conversation.
feel like they're gonna be like the Browns last year.
Yeah, like a
They may
storybook
get
kind of team.
one more win or two, I think, but you're right. I think they're going to be right outside the playoff picture. They're going to be right on the bubble. They're going to be outside looking in. Um, you know, they're just not all there yet. I mean, we didn't even see the draft yet. Where the Jets are depending heavily on the draft, whether they pick their guy at number 3 or 4, or they trade down. They still have to have a great draft if they want to if they actually want to compete this year. So
Yeah, so
we got to see how that goes for
yeah,
them.
definitely. I think they're on an upward climb at this point. Um, the Jets definitely will be a force to be reckoned with, especially when Brady ends up retiring, whenever the hell that is, in 10, 15 years or whatever. But
Yeah, right.
my next team is the Chargers. I think the Chargers had an absolute great year that was very overlooked by the league last year. They made an addition of they brought in Thomas Davis. Their defense, if you have any idea about them, they're very young, very very young. They got Bosa, they got
Yep. They got Derwin James
They're-
back there holding it down.
their
He's-
secondary is young too. I think they have Ha Clinton Dix. I'm pretty sure.
Dix
Well-
actually went to Chicago. Listen to this. Ha Clinton Dix left Green Bay to go to Chicago. And
Really?
you know Adrian Amos? He left to go to Green Bay.
Wow. So they did like basically a little
So
trade
they,
there.
they basically they swapped safeties, but Green Bay got the better end because
Oh,
Amos
definitely.
he's got the edge on Ha Clinton Dix.
Yeah. So I'm pulling
But
up
like
the
San Diego,
yeah, I'm pulling up their
yeah, they just
their defensive depth chart right now. Yeah, you got Melvin Ingram. Oh my God, I think I overlooked him. But
Pro Bowler last year.
yep. Casey Hayward is the cornerback I was thinking of. Rashawn Jenkins and Derwin James, the safeties.
They only
There's-
lost one guy. I
Yeah,
think, right?
They
One
have Donnie
starter.
Jones. The Chargers have Donnie Jones. I did not know that. Did you know that?
Who do they have?
Donnie Jones. Remember Donnie from the Eagles punter? Old Donnie.
Oh, I'm thinking you said Dahani Jones.
No, Donnie Jones, man. Do you remember? He was the punter for the Eagles
Yes,
for the
yes, he was
longest
the
time.
punter,
I
yep.
loved him, dude. I was so mad that we didn't re-sign him. They got him, so that's another
Yeah.
reason to root for the Chargers. But yeah, I mean they made
Most
that.
importantly, though, I mean, they got that playoff experience under their belt, and now they have a fire under their behinds after getting killed by the Patriots in New England. So I mean, I think they're look out. If I'm a Chiefs fan, if I'm a Kansas City Chief, I'm looking out for the San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, I should say.
Yeah, I mean I'm looking at their depth chart right now. I put it up on the screen. They signed Mike Pouncey. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was on the team. Their offensive line is looking nice. Rivers is still he's still producing numbers. I mean, he's very overlooked. Like I said, a very very underrated quarterback that's in the league. Um, you got Melvin Gordon, who has had probably the best 2 years of his career the last 2 years. Eckler has made some real strides into becoming a nice uh, complement to Gordon on passing downs. And
Great
then
fantasy backup.
yes, definitely. Keenan Allen, obviously he performs very well, but he usually gets hurt, which is one of his big setbacks.
Oh yeah.
They got Mike Williams and Travis Benjamin in the 2 and 3 slot, which is Mike Williams, a Clemson native, so got a little bit of a
That's
special,
your team.
special spot in my heart. So, but
Yep.
I've been watching him closely. The guy has so much talent. He just hasn't had a lot of opportunities to play. Um, right now they got him slotted at number 3. It looks like 3 or 2, with Travis Benjamin. Which again, both of those guys they're gonna perform. I mean, they're getting older, they're getting more experience. Travis Benjamin's old, I'm pretty sure, but Mike
I know.
Williams
I
is
feel like he's been in the league for 15 years.
yeah. Antonio Gates is still
I
on the
can't.
roster.
What is he? 33.
He's got to
Well,
be.
Gates. He's just.
Gates is like the same
I
age
feel like he's
as
never gonna stop
Brady.
playing football.
Yeah, I'll look up Travis Benjamin's age. But
He's 29. Wow.
wow, yeah, I feel like he's been in the league
Benjamin.
for so long. 2011 he graduated. So
What? That's incredible.
he was drafted. He went to the Browns. Yeah. Um. But yeah, like I said, the Chargers definitely are gonna be a force to be reckoned with. This upcoming season. Um. I got the Eagles in there. A little bit of bias heading our way. Got the Eagles. Like we spent a lot of time talking about them. They made a lot of improvements this offseason. Carson Wentz is finally gonna. I believe he's gonna start performing the way he should, the way he did in 2016. That MVP kind of year, or 20 whatever year it was, 2 years ago, the Super Bowl
Oh
year.
yeah, it was Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
He's just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the only issue, and I think he will.
Still.
But yeah, the Eagles they should run through the NFC East. I mean, at this point, the really only competition is the damn Cowboys, because I don't know what the hell is going on in New York, because the Giants are just, I guess,
It's a
blowing
dumpster
away.
fire.
They're just blowing away their entire franchise. But them, and then you got the Redskins. They're locked up with Alex Smith's contract, even though he probably won't play football again, and that's a huge contract. So that's taking up a lot of cap space.
Going back to the Giants, my question, like, did they really think they were going to be contenders after drafting Barkley?
They're gonna
If
run
you
him
know
into the
you're in the
ground.
rebuilding stage, why are you drafting a running back,
Yeah.
especially second overall?
You know what I heard?
Was it first?
I was first. I think it was first or second, one or two. But what I was
Second.
listening to yeah, two, because I think the Browns were first. They got
Browns got
it was
Mayfield, yep.
Mayfield, yeah. But I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you listen to Gary V. Anybody out there? He's
Oh, yeah.
like an entrepreneur kind of
Gary
guy.
V.
He's a big Jets fan.
Motivational.
His big thing is his like life goal, I guess you could say, is to buy the Jets, which is he sets like an unattainable goal just to keep working towards it. And but besides the point, he said if I was a GM in this league, because he's getting into becoming an agent, and like he's opened up a sports agency. He said if I was a GM in this league and I was in a rebuilding phase, every single year I would draft first round quarterback. Keep going quarterback until I find a guy. And if Sam Darnold has a problem with me drafting a quarterback in the first round, he's not my guy. He said so you need to find that guy that is willing to step in there, eat shit, and just fight for his
I don't
spot
know
to
about
become
that.
the franchise quarterback. I mean, it's definitely unorthodox. Definitely gonna waste some picks. But I mean the mentality of it is nice. Just trying to find a guy that's
Well,
gonna
when you
that's
do
gonna
that, I feel like when you do that, there's a lot of holes on the rest of your roster. You know what I mean? You can't keep wasting a first round picks on quarterbacks till you find your guy. I think you just it's important to find the guy who's best for you at your draft position. You know, you can't go quarterback every single year because you're just wasting picks. So I don't know if I agree with that logic.
yeah. I mean I hear you there, but I agree with it in the sense that you got to find the guy that is gonna be able to take
Right.
on the competition and just believe in himself
Always.
to become to not worry about who's in front of him or who's behind him. Just go out there and play ball and just get you some W's because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Just getting wins. Um, so yeah, and then that was only 4 teams. I got the Saints, Patriots, Chargers, and Eagles, and then my 5 will be the Chicago Bears. After that amazing season that their defense has had,
Mm.
Mr. Trubisky is finally finding his way in this league. Um, I they lost Jordan Howard to us, obviously, but I don't think it's going to affect them that much with Tariq Cohen. I'm sure they'll get somebody in the
No.
draft. Um, I mean, just that defense, it's so amazing. They let up so little points and they turn the ball over so much. It's ridiculous. I think they were the highest scoring defense in the league last year, and yeah, I mean, it takes so much pressure off the young kid Trubisky. He'll be able to just sit back, throw the ball, and not really play with like he'll be able to put faith in those
Yeah.
defense and allow just go out there and play.
Uh, yeah, they lost a lot of key guys on D, but I don't think that's really going to affect them that much. What I do think will affect them is them losing Vic Fangio, their D coordinator, who's now the head coach of Denver. That guy he just turned that whole defense upside down. He turned them into the 2010 Bears defense with Urlacher, Briggs, and all those guys.
Yeah, you would definitely know that, how Wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. But I actually hope the Eagles see them again in the playoffs because I think we're in their head. I think we are in their head.
Yeah.
However, we don't have Nick Foles at the helm.
I think Carson Wentz.
So
really
that'd be
good job down there,
interesting to
though.
see. I'd love to see Wentz go against that Bears D.
Yeah,
That'd be a fun one.
maybe Cody Parkey can get a double doink for us, just one more time.
Yeah.
Man,
Cool to see a triple doink.
that game, that game was something else, man. I remember watching that game and just being up and down and up and down and up and down, and it was ridiculous. The amount of emotions that go through my head just watching any Eagles game is insane.
It's the most distressing thing ever.
It's
but at
and
the
the
end of the day,
most purifying thing at the same time. It's
right.
it's and so consistently for the last like 10 years. It's just they bring you through so many emotions. I think that's why I really love them. They're definitely my favorite team and favorite sport to watch just because they make it so fun to watch. You're never out of the
Yeah.
game. You're never truly able to just sit back and just enjoy the win. You know that from I was at the I think it was the Panthers game where they came back. The Panthers came back on the Eagles. Look up the box score real quick. Yeah, the
That's
Eagles.
a game I'll
The
never
Eagles. I was there. I was falling asleep at halftime. We were up 10-0, and then early in the third we scored. We went up 17-0, and in the fourth quarter we let up 21 unanswered points and lost that game.
That is just.
It was, and that's really
It's
what
just sick
started
to think about.
our mid-season drought kind of thing. But yeah, but then again, that's why I love the Eagles so much. They bring you through so many emotions, and it's just
Hey,
they're a
that
fun
game-
team to watch.
Losing that game made the end of the year a lot more interesting.
Yes, to say the
So
least.
I mean, it's like when we were in high school and when we lost to Cherokee, it ended up working out because we didn't win the championship, but we made it there. And but if we won that Cherokee game, we would have probably faced Shawnee, which is the team we lost the championship, and we wouldn't have faced them in the first round.
Yeah.
Just a little high school story.
Yeah, we had a kind of a Cinderella season in high school. But enough on that. So I think we're about to hit the hour mark. I think it's about time to wrap it up here, Wolf. I mean, I had an absolute blast
Oh yeah.
finally reviving this series. It's been a long time coming. I think it's in May. It'll be 2 years since the first episode, which is kind of crazy to think about.
I've longed for this day.
We recorded in my car on a hot May day, and we were sweating, recording it on my phone. It was interesting. We upgraded since then. We're in the comforts of our own homes now, and we're live to the audience. Thank you for everybody that popped out. I saw the viewers peak to I think it was 8 was the highest I saw. So thank you everybody that came out. We got a couple follows. Shout out to Colin, Sandy, Adele. Adele is really hyping us up on social media. Definitely go down in the description. All our links will be there. You got to follow us. We will let you know when we go live again. Hopefully next time we have our third host Kershaw with us, making the full triple D. Right now, today we were just double D.
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be there.
Um, but yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. Wolfle, any ending thoughts?
No, you pretty much summarized it. Thanks for popping out, guys. Stay tuned. Keep watching Triple D Sports Talk. We got a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah, to say the least. All right, guys, thank you for coming out. Make sure you hit the follow button, and we'll see you next time.